positive alternative to physical intervention. What does that mean?
Other things you can do.
Other things you can do that will yield positive results without having to use physical intervention. These are divided into two. One of them is primary control, and the other is secondary control. Now, when you are attending to your 10 questions, the section 2 there, number 2, I want you to give me the examples of each of these controls. Right? So the primary controls are 1. When you follow employer security and safety policies, procedures and working practices, use of safety and security policies, proper, regular, ongoing workplace risk assessment, equipment and technology, radios and access control, CCTV, positive and proactive service delivery. When you use any of these, what you're actually using is a primary control. If you use, for instance, if you use your radio to call for support, you are using a primary control. If you use the CCTV camera to monitor the behavior or the activities of a particular individual, you are using primary control. So the other part, to positive alternative to physical intervention, is the secondary control. And the examples are positive and effective communication skills. You remember when we were doing the practical demonstration for conflict management skills? Part of the techniques or part of your demonstration was you talking to the customers. You are using your communication skills to de-escalate the situation. Rather than for you to get them, you are fighting, you talk to them nicely, explain to them what the policies are. Yes? You were able to challenge unacceptable behavior, and they were able to understand what you meant. So these are examples of secondary control. Deterrence through staff presence, conflict management skills, early intervention. When somebody is frustrated, you don't want it to go to the next level. We all know what is stages of escalation, right? From frustration to anger. Anger to aggression, and from aggression to violence. So if you see someone is frustrated, maybe because of the kind of services we are rendering or we are giving, they have a very high expectation that they're going to spend money and have value for the money. So at the level of frustration, you quickly intervene and try to de-escalate the situation. It will not get to that level where the customer becomes aggressive, it becomes violent at the end of the day. Diversion, redirection, switching, like the one we practiced when we had the practical demonstration for how to conduct a very effective search, right? Switching, when the cover takes over from the contact in order to de-escalate the situation. Passing the baton. For those of you from your demonstration, during the use of conflict management skills. Some of you resorted to talking to your manager, right? For a solution. You told the customer, let me talk to my supervisor, or let me get my supervisor to come and talk to you. All these, they are secondary control as part of positive alternative to physical intervention. Seclusion. Two people are fighting, like those two who were kicking one another. Yes? You took one to the other side, you took the second one to the other side. Talk to them nicely, come back, talk to them nicely. These are all secondary controls. These are examples of secondary controls. Do we understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Defensive physical skills. A method used to try to prevent ourselves from getting into trouble. The method that you use that prevents you from getting into unnecessary trouble in the first place. Defensive physical skills will enable you to recognize danger. You see someone coming, the way the person is coming, you know, oh, this is danger. You recognize danger. Defensive physical skills will enable you to avoid it. Manage it if you can, or if you cannot manage it, react to it safely. It will enable you to react to it safely without using any force at all. No use of force. This is defensive physical skill.
This one is not in the question.
No. For the question 2 is the one I have mentioned to you. Yes, and you just need to take the pictures and fill in the questions there. All right? So, defensive physical skills, what are the examples? Risk assessment, calling for support, position, stance, communication skills. Yes? Boundaries, barriers, and exit route. I've mentioned to you examples of exit routes. And I mentioned specifically the one I use at home. Exit routes. Yes? You remember those types?
Yeah.
Okay. Pretend to the customer you have an emergency call. That will enable you to leave the exit. To leave and tell your superior, your supervisor, what the situation is. In reality, you're trying to avoid the situation. Yes? Or tell the customer, I'll call my supervisor to come and attend to you now. Exit route. And many cases, or many a times, when you're talking to someone, make sure either of you have a way to exit. If you're not comfortable with what you are talking about, yes, you're getting nowhere with the argument, either of you can, should be able to leave rather than blocking the ways. All right? So these are examples of defensive physical skills. Any question?
No.
Physical intervention skills enable you to protect yourself. It enables you to protect others and to escort people away from incidents using a low level of force. Low level of force. Using a low level of force. The kind of force that you will use that you will not hurt yourself nor hurt others. Physical intervention skills include guides, deflection, block, escorting holds, disengagement technique, step back, and restraint. But for you to use restraint, it's a high level technique, and you must be able to justify why you must use restraint for that instance. It is not what you have to use willy-willy to exercise how big you are, how many packs you have, how heavy you are. No. Now, from what we have studied so far, let us quickly recap on what we have studied. Can someone tell me what is meant by trespass from 1 to 10 here? What is trespass?
3.
Trespass is, can someone read it?
Being on someone else's property without consent.
Being on someone else's property without consent. So what is using physical intervention incorrectly? What can it lead to? When you use physical intervention incorrectly, what can it lead to?
Criminal proceedings.
Yes, it can lead to criminal proceedings. And lastly, physical intervention should only be used as a last resort. Well done. So explain what physical intervention is. Is the use of direct or indirect force, bodily, physical or mechanical, to limit another person's movement. Identify positive alternative to physical intervention. We have what? Primary and secondary controls. Now,